Recording. All right. So, welcome everybody out to the Python users group meeting for Friday, May 17th, 2019. This week we are going to talk about the web browser module. And I will go ahead and post that in the documentation in the chat so you can follow along if you would like. And the web browser module is, and like I said, like I was mentioning before I started recording, I have to keep this one short because I haven't had much time to prepare. The web browser module is just, it's a useful module, and it's basically an all-encompassing module for dealing with opening web browsers and not really controlling them is kind of an overstatement because you can't like close them and modify them. It's really just here on this operating system, this is the appropriate web browser to open for this situation. We're going to go ahead and open it. And so I've used it in a couple of contexts. In a game that I was making in the Kivy framework a long time ago, I would use it to, for the user's benefit, you could click on a link inside the game and it would pop up the user's web browser on their mobile device, which was pretty cool. And then I've also used it in scripts to where I'm combing over data that I have to verify by hand because I've automated everything that I can. And as a convenience, I could hit a button and it would open the web. It would basically Google for a specific thing based on what I was looking at, which is, was always the context was always the same. And so I knew exactly what I needed to Google for. And so I just automated it. So I could just hit a button and it would pop it up in a web browser. And I would have there right in front of me exactly what I was looking for. So also, another fun thing is if you're in an interpreter and you run import anti-gravity, and it did it on my other web, it will open up this page right here, which uses the web browser module to do that. And it's less impressive when you actually don't see. Oh, that's right. It only does it once because it's already imported. Let's try that again. All right. So it opens up it uses the web browser module to open up this XKCD that refers to, it makes the same joke. I just typed import anti-gravity and amazing. Okay. So I'm going to try and remember to keep this browser where we can see it so that when I demonstrate particular things, actually, let's see. Let's do this. The one thing that it will do, so there's some specific behaviors that are more operating and browser specific, such as when I run this, it wants to open up the, it wants to use, so I have Google set up to open, if a web page requests a new browser window, it always automatically opens it in a new tab. And the web browser module cannot override that behavior. That's Chrome, and Chrome is enforcing that in this case. And so if you ask for a new window and you don't get one, that's not that, if it opens it in an existing window, that's actually not unexpected in this case. And so we'll see some of that weirdness as we're going through this, that it does, you can't force the web browser to do things that it is configured not to do. But again, that goes for all web pages. We'll have that issue. So so you can also use it. Let's see. You can use the module from the command line. So you can do something like this: Python 3 -m web browser. Let's see, -t, and then let's see. So you can do something like that, and it will. The web browser just uses its simple command line interface to open up a window. Now, you didn't see it open the window because the last window or the last browser window I interacted with was off screen, and it did it over there. So I'm going to get that guy, make that guy the most recent thing that I've touched. So now it'll interact with that. So that's a so we can also leave off the T to tell it to not use a new tab. And you didn't see it, but it used a new tab anyway, because again, Chrome is enforcing that. So let's look at how to use this in a script. So we would do import web browser, and then we would use, so there's some convenience functions that are immediately available. So the first one is open. So if we do web browser dot open and give it a URL, so let's see, ps:// or something like that. That's the most basic thing that you can do. Now you have some um, uh, optional switches. You can do new equals and then 0. It's basically how do we want to try and open up this page. So the default is 0, which basically says open it up um, in the same browser window if possible. Now that that means that if you've already it would be the most recent window and tab that you've interacted with. But again, Chrome's going to override that behavior and just create a new tab. So that's what 0 does. 1 is open up a brand new window, and then 2 is open up a new tab. So I'm going to set it to 1. Now let's get this guy back up here. So we'll set it to 1. And then our other option is auto raise, which is we're basically going to ask the operating system nicely to bring that window to the front. Now, a lot of browsers will do this for us automatically when a new window is open. When somebody opens a new tab somewhere, they will bring the window in which that happened to the front. So we actually so auto raise in a lot of cases is not actually needed, but if you want to be sure, you can go ahead and set it to true. So we can try and set it to it defaults to true. We can try and set it to false and see what it does. I'm curious now, so let's give it a shot. So we're going to go Python 3 sample.py, and it brings it to the front regardless of how we set that setting. And that's going to be a combination of Chrome and OS X overriding our intended behavior. So let's go ahead and shrink this down. Okay. So we also have so instead of open, and I'll just comment this guy out, we can also do open new. And open new is essentially a shortcut for it sets new to it sets new to 1, which will attempt to open this in a new window if possible. So what this is going to do, so let's get this guy as the most recent window that I've touched so you can actually see it behave. Yeah, it's going to open it in a new tab in an existing window. Again, that's Chrome overriding the behavior. Now, if I went and dug into my Chrome settings, I could probably shut that off. In fact, let's see, settings. let's see. You already know my email address, so that's not a big deal. Let's see. Search engine, default browser on startup. Let's see, pressing tab. I don't see it. Show bookmarks bar. Okay, usually there used to be a setting where you could actually turn off the open new windows, override that and put it in new tabs. Actually, maybe it's in advanced. Do not track sites, preload, manage site settings, clear browser history, downloads, printing, system, use hardware. Okay, yeah, I don't see a setting that allows us to override that behavior in Chrome. So what we should do then is I'll go ahead and get rid of these guys. And what we'll do, okay, so like open new, there's open new tab, which is again just sets the new and open to two if and if that works, it'll work. But what we're going to do is we're going to ask for specific web browsers. Now, since I'm in OS X, that's going to be the type name. Let's see, Safari. So we have Safari and we have default in OS X, and we don't want default because Chrome is my default browser. We want a new browser. So we are going to get the controller for the Safari browser. Controller equals, let's see, web browser dot get, and then we are going to specify the controller that we want. And so this will allow us to basically say, yeah, we want to do this stuff and we want to explicitly do it in the Safari browser. And so if you go into the documentation and you look, there's a list of controllers for different web browsers that come included in the module. So you have things like Firefox and Chrome and you actually, in Windows, you have Windows default, so you can't actually tell it to use Internet Explorer, which I find amusing. Let's see. So you have Safari, Chrome. Let's see, Chrome. But then you also have stuff like Opera. You have the Lynx text-based browser, which is LYNX. So if you run this from a if you run this in like a situation where you don't have access to the X windowing system on Linux and the Lynx browser is available, it will just open it up in your terminal session in Lynx. So it's smart like that. So we're going to specifically request Safari, and let's see if Safari behaves a little bit different. So we're going to go controller.open, and again, it's basically web browser is the web browser open and web browser open new tab are just wrappers for get the default controller and run those functions on the default controller. So we're going to go ahead and open up google.com. And this will be interesting because we'll get to see how Safari behaves in this situation. So this might take a second to run because I never opened Safari on this computer. And it'll probably open up, yeah, and of course it opened up on my other screen. So there's that. So it opened up in Safari. So let's go ahead and run it again and see how it behaves. Okay, so this, let's see. So we've got, we've got the default behavior specified. So let's come over here and set new to, let's see, new to 1. And that should hopefully open it up in a new window unless Safari behaves like Chrome. And Safari does the same thing as Chrome. So yay. Which is actually not terribly surprising. So in this case, open new will not open up a new window, and basically you get the behavior of open new tab every time. So Yeah, that's the web browser module in a nutshell. Um, really simple, very handy. Um, if you want to use it on mobile, it works correctly on Kiwi, and it's pretty much works the way you would expect all of the time. So, are there any questions? I know this is not a terribly exciting or involved topic, but I say I was short on time this morning. Okay, if there isn't any questions, we'll just open it up to the floor for general questions. Does anybody have any general Python or Python 3 specific questions that they'd like answered today? Does modifying the browser change the user agent string? Okay, so user agent strings are um, uh, that's something that I'm a little fuzzy on. But the user agent string, correct me if I'm wrong, that's the string that the browser sends to the web page to identify which browser is attempting to open the page. Is that correct? Am I
That's correct.
okay, thanks. So I believe the answer is no. So what you can do is register new browser types, but you're not actually you're basically what this module does is it's just like running the browser from the command line. It's like if you know the command line for running Chrome and opening a specific page, that's essentially what it's doing. Is and so it's not doing any magic to your browser process. It's just asking the browser to open a particular page. So I'm going to assume that the answer is no. So you can't do something like open up a page as a different agent as what your browser is um, would send normally. If you want to do something like that, I would recommend using the requests library, and in which case then I know for sure you can specify the user agent, although I've never had to do it.
Gotcha. Thanks. I was mostly curious for like a browser compatibility scenario.
Yeah, no. It's just like you opening the browser and then navigating to that page. It's not really any different. You can also register new browser types if necessary. The only thing that I'm not and I've never had to do it because 99% of the time the default browsers supported by web browser are good enough. Um, the the only thing that I don't know is how to create a constructor for a browser, which is a requirement when you want to register a new browser type. And so if I wanted to figure out how to do that, I would look at the web browser documentation itself, or actually look at the code for web browser itself. Which, since we're in PyCharm, we can do that lickety split. So, let's see, register get open. Synthesize base browser, generic browser. Let's see, Unix browser. Okay. So I guess the question is, at some point, all of these browsers, the base browsers, need to be registered. Oh, okay. So what it is the constructor is going to be a class that inherits from base browser. Yeah, and you would probably inherit from generic browser. And so it looks like the name is going to be, yeah, the name is going to be like the path to the browser executable. Um, and then, yeah, so that it looks like it wouldn't be too hard to do. In fact, let's scroll down here. So we've got Unix browsers, we've got Mozilla. Okay, so we have Mozilla, Netscape, Galleon. Okay, so we'd have like a Unix browser. So they've got it set up here. So if you wanted to like create another um, browser in a Unix environment, you could uh, follow the pattern that they use here for Mozilla and Netscape um, to um, to register new browsers in a Unix environment. Let's see, Chrome is considered. Oh yeah, and then Chromium and Chrome are the same thing. Yeah, new window tab. So there is a command line argument um, to try and get Chrome to uh, open a web page in a new window. I'm surprised I couldn't find the setting to allow that. But yeah, so if you wanted to register your own, you would follow the examples in the actual web browser module itself to create a class necessary to support a new one. But like I said, 99% of the time, you don't need to do that, and you're going to be in an environment where the default or a web browser that you're sure is installed is going to be available, and you can just open that. So, all right. Any other questions? And any other general Python questions? If not, I think we'll call it a meeting. Thanks everybody for showing up.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Casey. Thanks. Thanks, David. And thanks to everybody else who came.